Just so you can find this without my clunky work, it's called Sometimes Refusing to Grow Up is a Good Idea by Professor Sam Vaknin.
I keep reminding you that the narcissist is an eternal adolescent, puer aeterus. He's a Peter Pan. There's even a famous book, Peter Pan Syndrome. He doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't want to assume adult chores and responsibilities. Doesn't want to commit. Doesn't want to invest. These are all outcomes of his schizoid core. Because the schizoid aspect of narcissism pushes the narcissist away from people, away from sex, away from intimacy, away from relationships. So it's an approach.
Now, he has got a good app where he explains, narcissists getting life partners in an effort to normalise. So he, invited Kelly there to look normal, but now I posit, is treating her like a sadistic, somatic narcissist.
Approach avoidance situation. The narcissist seeks intimacy, his version of love, relationships, but then the schizoid core kicks in and pushes him away from all this. But what are the advantages of being an eternal child? Well, quite a few, actually.
A cult following?
The narcissist acts as a child when he infantilizes, when he refuses to be an adult. He is sending two signals. It's a form of virtue signaling, if you wish. He's sending two signals out to the world.
So he can't build a bathroom or a toilet for his pregnant wife, although he's going to be able to build a worldwide series of camps and some Delulu thing like Jonestown, is it, called Scotland, wherever that is. That's why Gord, Paddy and Adam have done all the work that's any good around the place, because he's a dumbass little kid.
First message is, I'm a child. I'm harmless. I'm vulnerable. Don't hurt me. So, the childlike posture is a defensive posture. It's intended to fend off harm and hurt and pain and adverse consequences. It intends to keep at bay enemies and foes and critics. I'm a child. Don't do this to me. And the second message is, I'm a child. I'm helpless. I'm a toddler. I'm hurting. Care for me. This is the narcissist version of codependency. This is his way of emotionally blackmailing you into staying with him, not abandoning him, catering to his needs, servicing him.
So this is all you scoats, not only Kelly living this, except she's seen the worst of him, and you just cater to his grifting and his megalomania. But you're all emotionally blackmailed. What other channel is everyone wondering? Are the baby and mother going to survive? Can the numbnut build a bathroom? No one else. He's a little boy building a cubby house.
The child posture is actually an adaptation. It may be a dysfunctional adaptation in some respects, but all in all, it's a self-efficacious positive adaptation because it allows the narcissist, despite his extreme disability, despite his deformities, despite his deficiencies, in the face of his inadequacies, it allows them to extract maximum beneficial outcomes from the environment. But
oh yeah, you're all still congratulating him for deliberately flaunting the rules and making his cabin not mobile and then having a red flag of a fucking tantrum and burning it down, you're all still commiserating with him on that every month. You all are so worried. Oh, it was so sad he had to burn his cabin down. He had a tantrum. He couldn't be told. He couldn't follow the rules. Contumacious child, anyone?
The thing, narcissism is on the rise because the entire course of the human species is from adult to child. We are becoming more and more childlike as the ages progress. People 100 years ago were more adult than we are. People 400 years ago were much more adult than people 100 years ago. And people 4,000 years ago were absolute adults compared to people 400 years ago.
So let's little think about his trip with DJ. He says himself he takes enough camera equipment for a Hollywood production, and yet he hasn't got one bag of trail mix or one block of chocolate, or as they're later fantasizing, 6 or 7 sticks of bologna.
Over history, we are becoming more and more childlike, more and more childish, more and more infantile. And as a collective, each and every one of us, this is not limited to narcissists and psychopaths. The rise of narcissism in society is because narcissists are uniquely positioned, uniquely evolved to take advantage of this inexorable wave of infantilization in human society and the human species over thousands of years. So there's a general wave of everyone becoming more and more childlike. And as everyone becomes more and more childlike, the narcissist is uniquely positioned to take advantage of this wave, to leverage it to his or her benefit. That's why the number of narcissists is increasing, because society is more and more infantilized. Of course, we create institutions that reflect the fact that we are less and less adults and more children. We had created the welfare state, the nanny state. Even our computing devices reflect a patronizing, condescending attitude in various features. An attitude that says, "Your children, you don't know what's good for you. We're going to make decisions for you." It's the same with the state. It's the same with various institutions and authorities. But who had constructed these institutions and authorities? Who is coding the software programs? We are. So we have created an environment, institutional environment, technological environment, to cater to our increasing infantilization, and it reflects this trend. Now it has a name. This increase in childlike features.
It's called neotony. Anyway, I'm cutting him off. So we're still only touring the house, so we're just examining Matty. Notice he never grew up and assumed the name Matthew, did he? Or even the name Matt, which would be more adult than Matty. It's the E which makes it self-infantilizing. He's Matty. But then because he's a Newfoundler, he's Maddy. Kind of asexual, is it? Not that that matters, but Maddy is even more infantile than Matty. The syllables of your name do matter. And she's Kelly. But what does he call her? Billy. Bill. So she's now Mummy Bill to Maddy.
In childlike features in the human species over millennia, it has a name. It's called neotony. Neotony or juvenilization. neoteny is when development, physiological development, somatic, or psychological development, slows down or is delayed. Neoteny is typical of all modern humans. The opposite of neoteny is progenesis. Progenesis, also called paidogenesis, is when development is accelerated, when someone is beyond their age.
So that's why I'm saying he's a somatic narcissist, but he's got the mouth-breathing bottom lip and the goggle eyes of a toddler and the strange sort of toddler in nappies groin. He's sort of fused around the trunk to the upper thigh, isn't he? He has no fluidity or adulthood. He's like, I can't think of the name, Fred Flintstone. Well, it's like arrested development.
They are premature, precocious. They have attained and obtained capacities which exceed their chronological age. But, generally speaking, the entirety of humanity, every single individual, and the collective, the species as a whole, is neotenic. In other words, it becomes more and more childlike. Now, neoteny results in something called paidomorphism. Paidomorphosis. Paidomorphism is the retention in adults of traits previously seen only among the young. It's when you grow up, and yet as an adult, you retain traits, behaviors, cognitive structures, and even emotions which are much more typical of a much younger person.
Oh my God, so in that caveman reaction video, we don't see his friend making a beautifully crafted basket with finesse. We see Matty make his so-called communion basket and his clunky pottery that looks like, a grade 1 made it. And what does he say? Oh, this is going straight to me mother's cabinet. So, basically, because he's so childish, his fans think he's precocious. He's 30. He can't use a measuring tape. Everything he does is slipshod, and that's the very reason they think he's amazing, because he's, in their cognition, he's like an under 10-year-old doing all this, because he acts like an under 10-year-old.
And this is called paidomorphism, or paidomorphosis. It's a form of heterochrony.
Oh,
heterochrony is when there is a mismatch between chronological age and psychological or physiological age.
All right.
Paidomorphism, the retention of traits, young youth traits, the retention of childlike traits into adulthood. Paidomorphism is very common in the animal world as well. So it's not limited to the human species, and it seems to be a general principle of nature, actually. Now, in humans, evolution has taken a turn. Evolution in the human species, incorporates psychological and cultural elements. We are continuing to evolve not only bodily, but we are continuing to evolve in our minds, and we are continuing to evolve via technology and via our cultural and societal frameworks. So consequently, neoteny, which is an evolutionary mechanism, paidomorphism, which is the outcome of neoteny, they have permeated and perpetrated and pervaded our minds and our cultures and our societies. Everything is slowed down. Everything regresses. Everything becomes more and more childlike, more and more infantile. Everything is neotenic. Our institutions,
So I think this is why everyone is so enamoured of the thought of running to the woods. And everyone wants to live out in the woods, but, you know, they're getting boatloads of plastic, rotten, mass-produced fruit. They're like sort of dumpster divers, and then what? They're burning all the plastic containers. They're not growing seeds in them.
And we are continuing to evolve via technology and via our cultural and societal frameworks. So consequently, neotony, which is an evolutionary mechanism, pedomorphism, which is the outcome of neotony, they have permeated and perpetrated and pervaded our minds and our cultures and our societies. Everything is slowed down. Everything regresses. Everything becomes more and more childlike, more and more infantile. Everything is neotenic. Our institutions, our relationships, our ways of thinking, the way we emote, the way we are having sex, our impulse control, our choices, our decisions, they're all becoming more and more puerile, more and more infantile, more and more childlike. One of the reasons neoteny is a feature of nature is because it seems that neoteny facilitates some human capacities. Some capacities in nature in general, but especially in human beings. It seems that adults are much less good, much worse at, for example, emotional communication. Children are much better at communicating emotions. So there is an evolutionary advantage to remaining a child. Emotional communication. The problem with narcissism is that the infantilization, the neoteny of narcissists, is coupled with other pathological features which inhibit access to emotions. And so this particular evolutionary advantage is not manifest among narcissists, to use an understatement. They're very poor at emotional communication.
So that's right. We've seen a few saccharine, oh dear, staged kisses, but they were months ago. The only emotional communication we get from Maddy towards Kelly is sadistic, humiliating humour. And why does he keep going on about her bodily functions and now her lack of hygiene? It's because he's like an under 9-year-old in his cubby house land, and he's living with an adult grown woman, and it disgusts him, adult sex. That's why he's making lewd and rude remarks about it, and now forcing her to denigrate herself, who didn't want to cry when she was laughing and doing the PTA dance as a prospective young mum. He didn't. Okay, so the water pipes at the neighbours froze and it's taken him a year and she couldn't bathe. But when she's in the sauna tent, couldn't you light the sauna half an hour before you call your pregnant wife down there and make sure she doesn't slip on the floor, and have rose petals strewn and a candle and a bunch of flowers? No, we're getting the pits, tits and ass dance. That's because he's a nasty 9-year-old. He's such a bullfed. He never saves anything.
Layers of this old shitty whatever flooring. There's a couple layers of cardboard on the walls. Everything has multiple layers of everything.
He doesn't insulate anything when he rebuilds the place. And now the wife is in there shivering, and what, the actual house is so cold she can't have a little bath with a tub of water. He boiled her on the wood stove, near the stove. She's got to put her fisherman suit on and go down to the tent trailer with a fire in it. Basically, he's a total hypocrite. He's just profligate. He gets all this new material in, like the one bit of insulation he gets, he uses in the wrong spot. None of his cult feel they can give him building advice, and he calls them the peanut gallery, anyone offering advice, so they learn not to. Fuck me.
And none of it is like...
He doesn't upcycle
proper at all.
anything.
I'm really hoping there's good boards underneath this. We'll see when we peel this one up.
They do lay a whole new floor in there later. And he just makes the biggest mound of rubbish that everyone's interested in. And he gets more and more touchy about it.
Which was great in his time because oil was cheap at one point, furnace oil. Nowadays, I'd much rather burn wood. This is a cinder block or brick chimney. So what we'll have to do is just take this out, and eventually we'll put a nice wood stove back here, plumb it back into this, and then run a whole new liner down the center of it. Bing, bang, boom, nothing to it.
Bing, bang, boom, nothing to it. That's grandiosity. He really doesn't. At the end of the year, she spacks up the holes in that chimney and paints it. She must have the fire out of there at that point. Oh. I'm not happy she's living in terror. I've actually emailed the midwife service and said she shouldn't be living on the island while she's heavily pregnant. Fuck it.
Oh, shit.
So as far as we know, she's living in a cabin on her own at the moment, minding her parents' Dachshund puppies. I did a reaction video to that. So it's like Cubby House land.
Oh god, it's rusted right out. As you can probably imagine, this thing is super heavy. And it's just a smidge too wide for this door, it looks like.
Looks like he won't have a tape measure with him till she arrives, or his friend
Until I get
Adam.
a friend out here that can help me lift it up proper and get it out here. I'll just keep it in here.